Hello all, and welcome to my channel where we're talking about the science behind coping with the coronavirus pandemic. My name is Waugh. I'm a professor of psychology at Wake Forest University. A couple things about this channel. First, we're talking about the science of coping and mechanisms involved. We're not talking about advice or tips or tricks specifically. There are plenty of other resources out there for that. The second thing is, this is a series of videos, so if you're enjoying this video, please do subscribe or hit the bell button so that you're notified when a new video comes online. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy this one. In this video, we're going to be talking about your brain. Specifically, how is your brain generating those stress responses that you may be having during the coronavirus pandemic, as well as how is your brain controlling those stress responses. The first region of the brain we're going to talk about is the amygdala, which is right here. You can't really see it on this brain, but it's somewhere in the middle here, near the middle of the brain. And what the amygdala does is it is our alert system. So think about an alarm system for your brain. Something is going on in the environment that is new, novel, it's different. I need to pay attention to it in case it hurts me. It's a threat detector, if you will. So you can imagine going out shopping, let's say, and you're being closely followed by that one person, and all of a sudden they cough really loud, right? And you turn toward them suddenly, with that kind of look of horror on your face. This is your amygdala working, right? It's saying, hey, there could be a threat in the environment. Get away from me, coughing person, okay? The next part of your brain is your nucleus accumbens. So the nucleus accumbens is right about here. You can't really see it on the part of the brain, but it's also right in the middle here. And it's part of a system that's associated with rewards. So this is the part of the brain that is particularly responsive to seeing things in the environment that you want to have. For example, this is the part of the brain that made me eat half a pound of candy on Sunday. So why might this be particularly important during times of stress? Well, it turns out, and you may have already figured this out, but during times of stress, our brain kind of ramps up our responses to rewards. So all of a sudden, instead of one donut, our brain makes us eat 3 or 4. So this is the part of the brain that is associated with that kind of ramping up of responses to rewards in the environment. The third part of the brain that I want to talk about is called the insula. So let's look at this one here. So if you can imagine, the insula is between the top and the bottom part of the brain, kind of tucked in there, nice and cozy. The insula, what that does is it represents the body. So, and what feelings are happening throughout your body. So if your heart rate's going fast, or your respiration is going fast, or if you're in pain, that type of thing. So there may have been moments, for example, in this coronavirus, where you feel a little bit anxious, your heart rate's going a little bit faster, you're starting to sweat. This is your insula representing that to you. And one of the really interesting things about these types of times is sometimes these anxious moments can be mistaken as feeling sick because they feel really, really similar. And that's the insula. Alright, so the amygdala, the nucleus accumbens, and the insula are really about sort of some of the regions that are kind of generating these stress responses in different types of ways, in different elements of the stress response. And again, there's also other regions that I didn't go over. But now I want to switch gears and talk about those regions that are associated with controlling the stress response. And most of these regions are going to be in this outer part of the brain because it's evolutionary newer, and it's really about controlling those bottom regions. So in this outer part of the brain, we'll talk mainly about the prefrontal cortex, or the front part of the brain here, okay? And the first place I want to talk about is this front part here that's kind of underneath. And this is called the ventral. Ventral means bottom. Medial means toward the middle. Prefrontal cortex, part of your brain right here. Okay, it's kind of right behind your eyebrows, if you will. And this part of the brain is super critical for safety. So during those times when you're under threat or stress, this part of the brain is what helps us feel safe. And also, as part of its safety processing, it also represents things like positive emotions, more complex positive emotions than just, oh, I want that candy and that candy feels good in my mouth, but rather the positive emotions we get from our loved ones and others, or laughing at a good movie. So it's a really, really important part of your brain, especially during the pandemic. And you may, if you want to learn more about positive emotions, I have another video talking about just that. The second control region that we're going to talk about is this control region right here. So now this is also ventral, because this is low, and instead of medial though, on the inside, it's going to be lateral, sort of on the outside here, okay? And this ventral lateral prefrontal cortex is all really about inhibition, so stopping something that you may want to do. So, you know, if you have that second donut, right, it's the one that says, keeps your hand from going towards that third donut, or if you're it's the thing that helps you only go through half the ice cream cort instead of the whole thing, okay? So inhibition, or not saying that thing maybe that you want to say to your loved ones because you want to have good relationships. So that's really, really key part of stress control as well. The last region I want to talk about is this region on top here. So this is also lateral because it's on the side of the head, but it's more dorsal, more towards the top of the head. And this region is really important for maintaining the goals that we have for trying to control our stressors. So those moments when you notice that you're not feeling right and you want to feel a different way, and you're sort of actively trying to do that. This is the region that kind of gets those goals in mind and starts coordinating these other regions in order to help you do that. So it's really more of like think about an executive sitting at the top of your head, controlling some of the regions below it, like the ventral lateral and the ventral medial prefrontal cortex. Okay, so that is your brain on stress and coping. It's a little bit simplistic, and there are a lot of regions I didn't talk about, but hopefully you learned something new today, and that this may be useful for you. And with that, be well. Thanks.